Good morning, fourth graders. We are on page 21 of the My State Notebook. It's titled Early Settlement. Today we're going to be looking at a city called Portage. Portage is in the south central part of Wisconsin. It played an extremely important role in building Wisconsin and really putting Wisconsin on the map as far as a state. So we're going to be filling out page 21. You should have that with you. I do want to talk about our oldest settlement just very briefly because it plays an important role in the settlement of Portage. Green Bay was settled in 1765. It actually became our oldest city. However, we know that Jean Nicolet was there much earlier in the 15 and 1600s. But it does play an important role in Portage. Now, this looks like an old date. That's 1828 is when it actually became like a city, but it was being used 200 years prior to that. So Portage became a city in 1828. That's when it was established. But prior to that, a canal was built to transport furs, and that's what we're going to learn about for Portage today as to why it became such an important city in the state of Wisconsin. So if you could just write down Green Bay, 1765, our oldest settlement, and then write Portage, 1828 is when it was established, meaning when it became a city, and then it built a canal. There was a canal that was built to transport furs, and that's really what made it such an important city. So let's write some more information, though, about Portage. First of all, the origin of the name. It says, what is the name of this place? Portage, the origin is French. It means le portage, which means to carry. If any of you have ever gone on a canoe or a kayak down a river, you may have gotten to a part of the river that you could not, it was not either safe or it wasn't deep enough for your kayak or your canoe to continue going. Or you may have gotten to a part of a river that ended and that you would need to connect or join up with another river. When you get out of your kayak or your canoe to leave that river and go to another, either the same river or a different river, that is called portaging, and it means to carry. So that's how the name Portage for that city was chosen, because we're going to find out that men in the fur trading companies used this part of Wisconsin to transport, to carry furs and the canoes that they were being carried in across a narrow strip of land to another river. They were actually going from the Wisconsin River to the Fox River, or from the Fox River to the Wisconsin River. So that's how it got its name. And it was French in origin. When this actually became important, it started to be mapped. So they mapped out Portage June 14th, 1673. And this was done by Father Jacques Marquette and Louise Joliet. They were two French explorers that were doing maps. And I'm going to show you some maps, and after we get done filling out this page, some old French maps, and they are just amazing to look at. So they started to map the area back in the late 1600s, and they mapped out Portage. Who helped to make this an important place? The fur trading companies. Okay, fur trading was what made Wisconsin very important. It was an industry, it was a business. And so the fur trading companies set up a settlement at Portage to actually transport the furs and to count the furs and to get paid, all those things that would run with a business. And it happened in Portage, Wisconsin. They end up actually building a canal to transport in between the two rivers, and I'll explain that in just a second. So Portage is French in origin. It was mapped all the way back in 1673. And the companies, the fur trading companies, are really what put it as an important city on our map. Okay, so why is this an important place? Let me move this up so you can see what to write. So Portage is a narrow strip of land between the Fox River and the Wisconsin River. Furs were carried between the two rivers to be shipped on the Fox River all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. So they would bring it to Lake Michigan to Huron, Huron to the St. Lawrence River to the Atlantic Ocean, and then across to Europe. That was extremely important. So the Fox River hooks up to Green Bay. Green Bay's Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan connects to Lake Huron. Lake Huron connects to the St. Lawrence River. The St. Lawrence River takes you all the way out to the Atlantic Ocean, and the Atlantic Ocean takes you to Europe. So this was a very important transportation route. Just the same, the Wisconsin River connects at Prairie du Chien with the Mississippi River. And the Mississippi River flows all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, which again would take us to the ocean. So these were two very important waterways, and Portage, the city of Portage, was the center, was the in-between point between these two rivers. That's what made it important. So what they did is they actually built a man-made canal to make the transportation of the furs, because they would have to unload the furs from one canoe to another canoe, and then they would have to take those to wherever their destination was. And Portage was a narrow strip of land, but they made it even more narrow by building a canal. The canal is really not in existence today, like they don't use it anymore. It's more of like just a historical site because we don't transport anymore by river. We use semi-trucks and trains and airplanes, okay? So there's not a need for it anymore. So now it's more of just a historical site. The canal is no longer used as a transportation system. I want to show you some old maps because they are fascinating. So the first map that I'm going to show you is a map that the French would have drawn. Now, let me tell you like what you're looking at to give you a visual. This is Lake Superior. This is Lake Michigan. This would be the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and this would be the state of Wisconsin. Here is the Mississippi River. Can you see how they have all these mountains along the Mississippi River? I know Elsa has La Crosse, and Elsa, when you go to research, you are going to find that they call these bluffs now, but they are very tall and they look very mountainous. And the Mississippi River cuts right through this whole area. And then here is Prairie du Chien, Lincoln. I know Prairie du Chien, that's your city. And this is where the Wisconsin River, and remember, are these extremely accurate? No, they're not extremely accurate because these are old maps. Again, they didn't have satellite. The only way that they could draw a map was to actually travel on that river and try and draw it out as they traveled on it. It's amazing that they are as close as what they are. I mean, Mrs. B thinks how smart these people were to be able, these explorers, to be able to just figure this out. What I think is really cool is look at, they have the peninsula drawn in. This is Door County. This is Door County. So they were that accurate. They figured out the whole shoreline. So here's Green Bay. And then they were a little off on the Fox River because the Fox River actually comes more south. Okay? And we're going to see that on the next map that I have. So this map, you'll see where they have the Fox River. They now have Lake Winnebago. So I know, Tanya, you have Appleton. Everett, you have Oshkosh. This is Lake Winnebago. And the Fox River runs here. And then it runs a little more again south. And they don't have the Wisconsin River coming all the way down yet. Okay, they don't have the map that accurate. But they do have the Mississippi. And they have the Upper Peninsula mapped out. But you'll notice from these rivers, the large river of the Mississippi, they have all these small rivers coming off of it. The reason why is that's their transportation. So they would hunt the beaver on we call this the interior of Wisconsin. They would hunt the beaver, and then the beaver furs, they're dead, okay? The beavers are dead and they've been pelted. And the furs would be shipped along these rivers and then carried down this river. What happens is eventually they discover that the Wisconsin River hooks up with the Fox River at Portage. This is right around where Portage would be. And then that's what makes Portage that important part of Wisconsin. That's history. Because people might say, oh, why would a person put this city, the city of Portage, like it kind of feels like it's in the middle of nowhere until you see, as you go just south of Portage, you cross over a big bridge, and that's the Wisconsin River. And if you were to go north and east of Portage, you would see the Fox River. That's history, and it's important that you realize why things happen, not just that it's there. Because I could just make you memorize, oh, Portage, Wisconsin was established in 1828, but no, it's more fun to realize the why. Why would people settle there? And that's what we learned today. So this was page 21. Make sure you filled out all of the questions. If you need to, go back and replay the video. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.